Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to episode 22 of Cryptozoology's Survival Let's Play. Thank you so much for all the support recently. We just hit 300 subscribers and I can't wait to keep making videos for you guys. We're at our village Pharos right now, and of course it's raining right as I'm trying to record, but that's alright because we're going straight into our mine here. If you guys haven't seen this is a bit of a custom mine that leads down to where we get all of our stone that we use for all of our builds. So if we just hop on down here, you can see we have this giant hole in the ground. I used to have a beacon down here, but I recently moved it over to a mesa biome that's a few thousand blocks away from here because I had to gather up a bunch of terracotta. So now our quarry here doesn't have a beacon. So in between episodes, I gathered up a few weather skeleton skulls, and I actually want to be fighting this guy right now so we can get another beacon here, and we can have a beacon here as well as over at our mesa biome. So I'm going to dig a bit of a tunnel and then we can fight the wither in there. Alright, so I've dug a bit of a tunnel out so we can fight this guy now. This is a pretty foolproof way of doing it. You just build a bit of a tunnel in a cave and then you just throw the heads on like this. So we just wait for him to finish flashing like that, and just easy as this. Maybe. Yeah, so you can just come like this and just hit the bottom. Alright, so he's half health, which means we can only kill him with our sword now. A bow is not going to work on him. And just like that, we have our second nether star. So I've got everything I need in my inventory to build a beacon, so we can just throw it in there, and we've got ourselves our second beacon. And then what we're going to be using for the base is all of these emeralds, because in last episode I built a villager trading hall, and I got a bunch of emeralds like that. And that's going to be a lot more resource efficient than using iron or something else. So I'm going to throw all these emeralds down just like so, and this is marking our center spot. So the base should be 9 wide, so this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just like that. And then I'm going to keep building up the rest of these layers. Alrighty, so the pyramid is in, so we can throw our beacon on the top now. Let's just grab this out of our inventory. Just like this, and I've already dug a tunnel up, so it should be able to go all the way to the sky. And then we just got to throw an emerald in here, and then we're going to grab haste and haste 2 and hit the check mark. And then now you're going to see that I should be able to just instantly mine all of this stone, so we can get a whole bunch of it really easy that we're going to be using for our castle as well as a bunch of other builds. Okay guys, I've collected a bunch of stone, cobblestone, andesite, diorite, all of that good stuff, and we're now back at our castle here, because we have a bunch of work to do today on this castle. I want to be getting a lot done, and the first thing I'm going to be working on is actually this wall right here that's off the side of our kitchen here. So this is a super awesome build. I'm really happy with how this came out, and it's going to be looking even cooler in my opinion once we have this wall coming off of the side. So you can see it's kind of built on this 2 diagonal, which might be a bit of a challenge to build. I've never really built on a 2 diagonal, and what I mean by that is it goes 2 blocks and then goes in 1, 2 blocks, in 1, 2 blocks, and basically it's on this diagonal just to add a bit of interest instead of just a completely straight wall. So if we just quickly come on over here, you can see this is one of our walls, and this is on a 3 diagonal, and then this one on the other side is like on a 7 diagonal I think, and then 5 and 5 or something like that. And basically I'm just making them all on these kind of different diagonals and different heights and all of this stuff just to add a bit of interest to the place, because if everything's looking exactly the same, completely straight, it can be kind of boring. So if we go into our ender chest, we can grab some of the stuff we're going to need. All of these gray shulker boxes are all of our stones. So let's grab some of these, and we're basically going to be building up the bottom of it with cobblestone. So let's find our cobblestone one, this one, and we're just going to be starting to go from here and then just slowly start building this up. So we just continue this on, going up 2 high on each of them, and then it's going to join into the next building right here. And this is going to be a higher tower that goes all the way up. So let's start bringing up the other side of this, and maybe we'll come up 2 or 3 more blocks. So let's keep bringing this up using just the cobblestone. Alright, so this is the base of our wall here, and next what I want to be doing is adding some andesite. So if we can just find this and just hop on back up here. So let's just break this temporarily and hop back up, and then we're going to be going up with andesite, probably 3 blocks, and we're going to be eventually making this more of a gradient, but just for now it kind of helps to just get the bare bones in, and then we'll kind of smooth it out a little bit later. Alright, so that seems pretty good height-wise, because if we compare it to the other wall here, you can see it's about the same height. I think this goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks. And this one goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's just add one layer of height to both sides of the wall here. And that should be a pretty good base for this wall for getting ourselves started here. If you take a look at the other walls here, you can see I'm using a lot of stone bricks on the corners. Same thing on that wall. So I want to be doing it to this one as well, just to keep that kind of overall theme. So I've grabbed some here, and we're probably just going to be putting these in all of these spots here. So we probably should have done this originally, but that's all right. So it'll be looking something kind of like that, and then we'll do it on this one as well, and then we could just continue that for all the segments of the wall. Okay, so our mess of shulker boxes is growing, but basically what I'm doing now is popping out some places where some windows are going to be. So I'm using polished andesite to kind of make it look more reinforced, and then I'm going to be throwing white stained glass. In here we have to use full blocks and not panes, otherwise there'll be kind of a weird gap right there. So it makes it look a bit flatter, but what we can do to add some detail is throw some trap doors on the sides of them to make it look like some shutters, and then we'll grab some leaves as well as some flower pots, and then we'll just throw them there. We're going to put some dandelions in there, and then we'll just put these are acacia leaves, and we just put them under like that. So I'm just going to repeat that same pattern on all the other segments of the wall and as well as the back side. So this is looking pretty good now, and the next thing we need to do is build up the roof line. So I'm going to be doing that with dark oak as well as using some of the stuff from the nether. But what I'm thinking is we just bring stairs along all of this, but on these ones we actually need to make it an angled stair, and that way none of the brick is exposed there. So we're just going to be doing a stair on all of these, and then on all of these ones the other direction. Not like that. Like this. Not like that. Like this. With that in, we're going to pillar up a regular block here, and then grab a stair, and then do an upside down, full block, stair, upside down, full block, stair, and then probably go one more, upside down, full block, stair, and then we need to continue the same thing on the other side. So let's just do an example of one. So we do the full block, stair, upside down, full block, stair, upside down stair, full block, stair, and you can see they're getting closer together, upside down, full block, stair, and then we're going to have this being the center part. So this is probably going to go up like this, and then maybe there'll be a slab on top. So if we hop down now, you can see that it's going to be quite high, and it's going to connect into that building. We're going to have to get rid of those windows in that spot, but it's going to be pretty similar height to this one, so I'm liking that a lot. So I'm going to get those in on some of these other ones here, and then we're going to be putting in the blue stuff. Okay, so the dark oak trims are in now, and I'm adding the actual roof, and I'm doing that using some of the warped stem as well as light blue concrete powder and warped planks, and I'm just kind of making it all random throughout here, varying the blocks, and once it's done, it's going to be looking pretty cool. Alright, so we're just about done this wall. There's just one last thing we need to do before we can call it finished, and that's on the top here. On all of these full blocks, we're going to be adding trap doors, and then wherever there was slabs, we're actually going to be putting a fence, and then on top of the fence, we're going to be putting an iron bar, just like that. So let's see it one more time here. Just like that, and it's going to be adding a bit more detail, a bit more variation, and it's going to be looking pretty sweet. Alright, so the little spikes are in, and there's one last thing we can add, and that is some basalt in the bottom parts here. So it might be kind of hard to actually put in, but this is going to add a bit more color variation, and it's going to be looking pretty nice. So you can see with that, it adds just the tiniest bit of little extra detail and really makes the build pop. As you can see, I also finished the wall on the outside of the castle. It's looking pretty nice as well, and it's going to be looking a lot better once we get this tower in. And that's what I actually want to do right now, and I think the best way to do that is going to be through a time lapse. So I'm going to throw some music on and give you guys a bit of commentary of my build process. So sit back and relax while I build up this tower. Alrighty guys, so the first thing I had to do for building up this tower was build up the corners so I could see just how high the thing was actually going to be. Then there's also this smaller kind of tower off the side of it, which is a bit higher, so I figured out how high that was going to be as well. And then I decided I was going to figure out the design for the top of this tower, and I thought that was looking pretty good, so I went in and filled in the top, and then there's another tower that's actually sitting on top of the other tower, if that makes sense. It's kind of towerception, but yeah, it's looking pretty good, so I decided I was going to fill in the walls, and I'm doing that with a bunch of different stones, diorite, andesite, cobblestone, stone, all of that good stuff. And that was looking pretty good. So then I decided I was going to fill in the large tower, and this takes a while to get all the texture variation in there. So what's a few seconds for you is actually quite a few minutes for me. But after that, it was all looking pretty good. So I decided I was going to do the top of this smaller tower, and I'm doing that just with the dark oak as well as the warped stem, just to add a bit of contrast of color. And that's looking super awesome. And then I also added the other tower on top of that tower, just using some of the blue terracotta for the roof color, and that's looking super duper sweet. So just slowing things down a little bit so you guys can take in this tower and kind of see how I designed it, and hopefully do something yourselves if you guys want to. But after I did that, I spent a casual 3 hours or something like that building up this whole other building along with these couple of walls, and started on the other tower kind of at the back there. And we're going to be taking a look at this from the ground right now, but just giving you guys one more little view using the replay mod here so you guys can check it out from kind of a different perspective. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed watching that time lapse because I sure had a lot of fun making it. But let's check out just everything that we were able to build up in that. So we first off built this gigantic tower with, it has technically like 2 peaks right here because we have this other tower that's actually sitting on top of this tower. And a lot of pictures that I've looked at of castles actually have that design. So it's something I wanted to include in my Minecraft castle here, and I'm really happy with how that came out. If we take a look from the other side, you can see I also built up this gigantic building right here along with these couple of walls, and I'm really happy with how that came out, especially these diagonal walls. Building on diagonals can be quite difficult sometimes and look a little bit wonky, but I think this came out actually quite nice. Definitely let me know what you guys think of that. It's pretty similar to our other designs, just on the full diagonal. And then obviously we have this gigantic thing right here, and it's very similar to our kitchen back there, if you guys are familiar with that. But with that complete, we're actually getting pretty close to having this whole castle done. We just have this other side right here that we can take a look at. So all that's left is this tower, and then a wall there, and a wall there. And then the main structure of the castle is actually finished. Of course, we have all the interiors to do, as well as a bunch of terraforming and all of that great stuff. And that's what I actually want to be working on right now. And I kind of want to show you that if we take a look at the side of this castle, I've already completed the terraforming. And this is how I want it to be looking all the way around the entire castle. This has a bunch of texture variation using a bunch of the concrete powders and diorite and cobblestone, and even has some flowers and leaves in it and all of that great stuff. And if we compare it to the other side, this I haven't done yet. And this looks very basic with just the vanilla generation. So what I want to be doing is making it custom just like the other side, and we're going to be continuing that along the entire outside of the castle. And that's actually a pretty big project because this is a pretty large castle, so it's going to take us quite some time. But I can show you guys kind of how I'm going to be doing it. So what I do is I just start with some stone, and I start building kind of these steep cliffs, getting closer and closer to our castle, and I just continue it along. Not like that, get back up here, closer and closer until we hit the side of our castle, and then it's going to blend in something like that. Maybe that's a little bit high, but if we take a look back, this is how it would kind of be looking. So we have the cliff there, and it's blending straight into our tower, and it's going to be the same things for the walls. So that's going to be looking super great. And the way I want to show at least part of it is through another time lapse. It's going to be a super short one. So just sit back and relax for a few seconds, and I'm going to build up a bunch of this. Alrighty guys, so I've gotten a bunch of the terraforming done. It's looking pretty good now. I actually had to cut back a lot of the terrain, as you probably saw in that little time lapse. Otherwise it was going to be kind of not steep enough, or I would have to make it super steep, and then the cliff would hit like the castle right there, and it was just going to look really weird. So I had to cut that back, and I think it's looking pretty good the way it is now. And I also left a few grass patches because we can actually add some trees in those spots, and that's going to be adding a lot more color to the place and just add a bit more of interest. and I think that's going to be looking super sweet, but we're going to leave that for a bit later because I want to continue with just using just the stone. We're going to be adding all the variation later, and I want to do that until it's all around the entire castle with just the stone. So I think kind of in this spot, I'm going to be cutting this back a little bit as well. And then I also need to do some terraforming on both sides of the river right here because they're kind of overlapping each other. So this needs to be cut back quite a bit, and then I can build the cliff kind of starting from about there and then make it hit the castle. And then I'm just going to be continuing that all the way along until I eventually connect up with the other side that I've also terraformed. So I just want to get this done all the way around the entire castle. So I'm going to do that off camera actually. It's probably going to take me a few hours, but once I get that done, I'm going to get you guys back up to speed. So I'll be right back. A couple hours later, and I have all the stone terraforming done around the entire castle. I also had to cut back the other side of the river quite a bit, the terrain, and it's looking pretty weird right now, but I eventually need to smooth it out, and I also want to widen the river a little bit. But we're probably going to be doing that in the next episode. But let's take a little look from the other side. And you can see the stone wraps all the way around and it continues all the way for the entirety of the castle. And then in the next episode, I'm going to be adding all the variation as well. But I actually want to hop on inside of our castle and do a bit of work on the courtyard. So I've done a bunch of variation within the floor using a bunch of different concrete powders and the cobblestone and a few the white concrete, which I have in my inventory right now because I want to be working on that. So if we come up to this upper area, you can see it's all just cobblestone. So we can start off by adding a bunch of the white concrete powder, and I'm going to be doing that mostly on the outside edges because I want it to look like the stones are more worn out where people are walking, and then the lighter stones are like ones that are more pristine because people haven't really been walking on them that much. So that's why I'm starting with the white concrete powder on the outsides. And then, like for example, this is where they're going to be walking up mostly in the middle, and then it's going to be like leading to these stairs. So we need to be adding a bit more of the darker colors on this side. So if we grab some of the gray concrete powder and add it something like that, that's a bit more kind of how I want it. So maybe we get rid of this one and we bring that. And then I think something like that's looking pretty good for the pathway, you could call it, for getting up to these stairs, which leads into our keep. So yeah, I'm just going to be repeating that process. So maybe we grab some of the white concrete and we start adding some of this in as well. And this also has some overlapping textures, so it looks just super duper cool. And then we're going to be adding some of the light gray concrete powder on the edges as well, something a little like that. And then in the main areas, we're going to be using a lot of the gray concrete powder and leaving a lot of the cobblestone as well. That's the wrong stuff. This is what we want. So yeah, something sort of like this. And then we're just going to add this all, make it look kind of random, and it just really adds a lot of interest. And it can look kind of messy before we add all the rest of the details, because that's what I did over here. And before I added like a bunch of these trees and this little kind of water feature and all of that stuff, it was looking kind of wild. But once we get all of the other stuff in, I promise it'll be looking a lot better and a lot less like just a giant mess. But I'm going to get the rest of this in and then I'll show you how it's looking. Alrighty everybody, so we have all the variation in and the courtyard is looking pretty sweet now. And if you remember at the start of the episode, basically our castle ended there. So this wall's new, this tower's new, this wall's new, this whole building's new, and this little wall plus the start of this tower. And then of course we did all the terraforming, and then we did this little courtyard area. And I'm also going to be adding like a stables back here, so that's probably something we'll do in the next episode as well. Because of just how much work we did in this episode, I just want to quickly update our map, which is in this little tower here. So if we head on upstairs, this is our map of the castle, and it's going to be looking way different once we update this. So let's take this map down and take a look at it. And yeah, if you see that, you can see just how much we were able to accomplish today. And I'm super duper happy with that. We can also update our other map. And yeah, we even have some on this map as well. It's we've been starting on this side, so this other map hasn't had any changes to it in a while. But yeah, you can see our castle is getting super duper close to being done. We just have this other little section, and we're going to be finishing that all in the next episode. One last little thing I want to do in this episode is check out our statistics. So if we just press escape here and go into the statistics menu, we can see all of the items we've mined and things like that. So I just wanted to quickly check how much stone we've mined. And you can see here that I've mined over 50,000 stone to actually build this castle, and I'm probably gonna have to get even more to finish those last few towers and a couple walls and all of that stuff. But yeah, you can see a lot of work has gone into this castle, and it's pretty crazy to look at things like this, how much stone we've mined. And you can see like diorite, we've mined almost 8,000 diorite, and these numbers are gonna only increase as this series continues. So that's just something I thought we could quickly look at for kind of some fun. At the start of this episode, I thanked all of you guys for 300 subscribers, and I make all of these videos over the course of like a few days. And while I've been working on this episode, we've actually gone up another 100 subscribers. So I actually have to thank you guys for 400 subscribers now. And the support recently has just been crazy. So thank you guys so much. And we're just taking a little look at the build with the shaders. I'm using BSL shaders. So this looks super duper cool, and I'm going to be leaving you guys with a bit of a cinematic, and that's actually going to have to do it for this episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for more. We're going to be doing a world tour on episode 25, so that's coming super duper soon, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye.